You don't remember how you got here. One moment, you were at the gas station, stretching your legs after a long drive, the dull glow of the overhead lights humming above you as you scrolled through your phone. You'd been heading home from your sister's place, taking the long roads through Nebraska's quiet countryside, the kind of place where the silence settles deep into your bones. A moment of rest, a pause in the drive, and then nothing. And now you wake up at the dinner table. Your wrists are bound to the arms of an old wooden chair, the rope biting into your skin, the knots too tight to shift even a little. The dim light above casts a flickering glow over the scene before you. A long table, covered with a red checkered tablecloth, plates set neatly in front of three people. A woman sits to your right, her hands trembling in her lap, her face streaked with dried tears. Across from her, a little girl, no older than 7 or 8, grips a fork so tightly her knuckles have gone white. And at the head of the table, sitting with a straight-backed posture that exudes authority, is him, Nathan Calloway. You don't know his name yet, but his presence is suffocating. He watches you with cold, calculating eyes, a slight smile curling at the corner of his lips. He looks ordinary enough, short brown hair, a neatly pressed button-up shirt, but there's something wrong with the way he looks at you, something deeply unsettling in the way he tilts his head, like he's studying you, waiting for something. The silence is unbearable. The only sound is the faint ticking of a clock somewhere behind you, a steady rhythm counting the seconds, each one stretching longer than the last. And then he speaks. Say grace. The words don't make sense. You stare at him, confused, your throat dry, your heart pounding so hard it's a wonder they can't hear it. The woman beside you flinches. The little girl lowers her head, staring down at her untouched food. Nathan's smile fades. I said, say grace. His voice is calm, but there's something in it that makes your stomach twist. A warning, a promise of something worse if you don't obey. You swallow hard, trying to steady your voice. I don't know what's happening, you stammer. Please, Pain explodes across your face before you even see him move. The slap is sudden, sharp, and it sends your chair rocking back for a moment before settling. Your skin burns, your cheek throbbing where his hand connected. The woman beside you lets out a tiny broken gasp. The little girl squeezes her eyes shut. Nathan exhales slowly, rubbing his knuckles. That's not how we talk at the table, Elliott. Elliott, your name. He knows your name. Your pulse roars in your ears as dread coils in your gut. You don't remember telling him your name. You don't remember anything past the gas station, past the moment your phone buzzed in your hand? Was it a message? A notification? Something insignificant, something normal, right before everything went wrong. I don't know what you want, you whisper, voice shaking. Nathan leans forward, resting his elbows on the table, his fingers laced together. He looks at you the way a father might look at a misbehaving child, with something almost like disappointment. I want my family to follow the rules, he says. We have a nice home, a good life. All I ask is that we show each other respect, that we play our roles. Your stomach drops. Family, roles. You glance at the woman, at the little girl. They don't correct him. They don't argue. They don't say a word. Something is very, very wrong. Nathan reaches for a knife beside his plate, tapping the handle against the table in a slow, deliberate rhythm. Each tap feels like a heartbeat, like a countdown. Let's try again, he says, his voice eerily gentle. Say grace. Your hands are shaking. Your entire body is shaking. You've never prayed in your life, but right now you don't think you have a choice. You close your eyes, force the words out, your voice barely above a whisper. Bless us, O Lord, and these thy gifts. The woman beside you breathes out, relief evident in the way her shoulders sag. The little girl keeps staring at her plate. Nathan watches you with an approving nod, setting the knife down beside him. Good, he says. Now eat. You look down at the plate in front of you, your stomach churning. The food is warm. Roast chicken, mashed potatoes, green beans, but the smell makes you nauseous. You have no appetite, no ability to force anything down, but you don't know what happens if you refuse. The woman beside you picks up her fork, her hands trembling. The little girl does the same. You reach for your own fork, your fingers stiff, unsteady. Eat, Nathan says again, slower this time, more insistent. So you do. And as you chew, as the taste of food turns to ash in your mouth, you understand something terrible. You aren't a guest at this table. You are a prisoner, and you don't know if you'll ever leave. The meal stretches on in silence, each second dragging longer than it should, the weight of unspoken words pressing down on the room like a heavy fog. You keep your head down, chewing carefully, though the food sticks to the back of your throat like paste. Each swallow a struggle against the bile rising in your stomach. Across from you, the little girl, your supposed daughter, pokes at her food with slow mechanical movements, never lifting her gaze. The woman beside you, her supposed mother, eats in small, precise bites, her hands trembling with each motion. Only Nathan seems at ease, cutting into his chicken with practiced efficiency, his knife scraping against the plate with a sound that sets your teeth on edge. The clock behind you continues to tick, the rhythm steady and unrelenting, a reminder of time passing, though you have no idea how long you've been here. Minutes? Hours? The concept of time feels warped, stretched thin by the unnatural stillness that blankets the room. The air smells of roasted meat and buttered vegetables, but beneath it, something lingers, something faint, metallic, like rust or old blood, something you wouldn't have noticed if your senses weren't already on high alert. Nathan finally sets his utensils down, wiping his mouth with a neatly folded napkin before turning his gaze to you. His eyes, a shade too light to be warm, hold none of the casual cruelty you might expect. Instead, they are patient, expectant, as if he is waiting for you to come to an inevitable conclusion on your own. Dinner is the most important time of the day, he says, his voice even, calm, almost fatherly. It's when we sit together as a family. It's when we show respect. He folds his hands on the table, tilting his head slightly as he regards you. That means no raised voices, no arguments, no refusing to eat. Do you understand? Your fingers tighten around the fork in your hand, the tines digging into the remnants of mashed potatoes on your plate. You don't trust yourself to speak, but you nod, because what else can you do? Defiance feels like an impossible thing when you don't know the rules, when you don't know how much worse things could get. Nathan exhales softly, nodding as if pleased with your response. He pushes his chair back, the wooden legs scraping against the floor in a noise that makes the little girl flinch. He doesn't seem to notice, or if he does, he doesn't care. Instead, he stands, stretching his arms before adjusting the sleeves of his shirt with casual precision. Since you're new, I'll go over the rules once. His voice remains steady, firm but not unkind, as if he is explaining something simple, something necessary. Breakfast is at 6 sharp, lunch is at noon, dinner is at 7. We do not miss meals. He takes a step back from the table, hands clasped loosely in front of him, his posture almost relaxed. We do not leave our rooms at night. Another step. We do not ask questions. Something inside you twists, a deep, crawling unease settling into your bones at the final rule, at the way he says it with such certainty, such finality. You glance at the woman beside you, searching for any sign of resistance, of defiance, of something human beneath the quiet, but she only lowers her head, staring at her plate with dull, unfocused eyes. The little girl remains still, barely breathing. Nathan studies you for a moment longer before clapping his hands together once, the sound sharp in the stillness. Dishes, he says, looking at the woman. She stands immediately, gathering the plates with practiced efficiency, her movements quick but careful, as if she has done this 100 times before. The little girl follows suit, though her hands tremble as she lifts her plate. You don't move, Nathan notices. Elliott, he says, his tone shifting ever so slightly, losing its earlier warmth. Help your wife with the dishes. The words hit you like a slap, something cold and awful curdling in your gut. Your wife, the woman beside you, the one who hasn't met your eyes since you woke up in this nightmare, is supposed to be your wife. And the little girl. You swallow hard, bile rising in your throat. Nathan waits. Your body moves before your mind fully catches up. Some survival instinct pushing you forward as you stand, your legs unsteady beneath you. The woman, your wife, does not look at you as she hands you a plate, her fingers brushing against yours for the briefest second before she pulls away as if burned. You follow her into the kitchen, your pulse roaring in your ears, the weight of Nathan's gaze still heavy on your back. The kitchen is small, old-fashioned, the kind you'd find in a house that hasn't been updated in decades. The sink is deep, the countertops lined with faded floral tiles, the air thick with the scent of dish soap and something faintly rotten. A single window sits above the sink, but the view outside is nothing but darkness, the glass reflecting only the dim light of the room. There is no way to tell where you are. The woman scrubs at a plate with quick, efficient movements, her hands moving as if on autopilot. You hesitate before placing your own plate in the soapy water, unsure of what to say, of whether you should say anything at all. The silence between you is thick, suffocating, broken only by the sound of water running, the soft clinking of dishes. Finally, you find your voice, though it is barely more than a whisper. "Who are you?" She tenses but does not stop washing the plate in her hands. For a moment, you think she won't answer. Then, so softly you almost don't hear it, she says, "Don't ask questions." Your stomach twists. She glances at the doorway, then at you, her eyes wide and hollow, her lips parting as if she wants to say something more. But before she can, a sound cuts through the quiet, a single deliberate whistle. "Nathan." The woman stiffens, her fingers tightening around the plate so hard you think it might crack. Without another word, she rinses it off, sets it aside, and moves to dry her hands. You turn slowly, your skin prickling, dread crawling up your spine as you see him standing in the doorway, watching. His smile is small, unreadable. "Elliott," he says, voice smooth as ever. "A word." Your pulse spikes, your mouth going dry. You do not have a choice, so you follow him. Nathan leads you down a narrow hallway, the walls lined with faded floral wallpaper, the edges curling in places as if time itself has been peeling it away layer by layer. The air feels different here, heavier, thick with something unspoken, something unseen but deeply felt. Your footsteps are slow, hesitant, but Nathan moves with the steady confidence of a man who owns everything within these walls, including the people inside them. The hall ends at a closed door, the wood dark and worn, a brass handle glinting under the dim light. Nathan stops in front of it and turns to face you, his expression unreadable, his posture still casual, still composed, but there is something in his eyes that makes your stomach tighten. You don't know what he wants from you. You don't know why you're here. He gestures toward the door with a slight nod. "Go on," he says, voice smooth, patient, the way a father might encourage his son to open a long-awaited present. "Take a look." Your hands are still damp from washing dishes, the faint scent of soap clinging to your skin as you reach for the handle. Your fingers hesitate just before touching it, a deep, unshakable instinct warning you that whatever is behind this door is not meant for you, that stepping inside will be a mistake you can never take back. But Nathan is watching, waiting, and you know that hesitation is not something he allows. The handle is cool beneath your fingers. You turn it slowly. The door creaks open, revealing a bedroom. At first glance, it looks almost normal. Wooden dresser, neatly made bed, a lamp on the nightstand casting a warm glow over the room. But then your eyes adjust, taking in the details, the ones that don't belong. The closet door is slightly ajar, and inside you see identical outfits hanging in a perfect row. Plain button-up shirts, slacks, all the same size, all the same color. The walls are bare except for a single frame photograph above the bed. It's a family portrait. Nathan stands in the center, his hands resting on the shoulders of the woman and the little girl, and next to them, smiling stiffly, is a man you've never seen before. Or maybe you have. The thought slams into you like a fist, stealing the breath from your lungs. The man in the photo was sitting in the same spot you were sitting in at the dinner table. The same chair, the same position, the same role. You step back without realizing it, your legs unsteady, your body suddenly too small for the space around you. Your pulse pounds against your ribs, your thoughts a chaotic blur of horror and disbelief. Nathan's voice is calm when he speaks. That was Daniel. You don't want to ask, but the question is already there, clinging to your throat like something toxic. What happened to him? Nathan tilts his head slightly, considering you. Then he sighs as if disappointed. He stopped being a good husband. The words are simple, casual, but they sink into you like ice. You swallow hard, trying to keep your breathing steady, trying to keep your voice from shaking. Where is he now? Nathan steps forward, closing the distance between you with quiet, deliberate ease. He reaches out, and before you can move away, his hand settles on your shoulder, a firm, possessive weight that sends a shiver crawling down your spine. Gone, he says simply. There is nothing in his tone that suggests sadness. No hint of loss, no grief, just finality. Your stomach twists painfully, nausea rising in your throat. The room feels smaller, the air pressing against your skin, the weight of realization settling in like something cold and suffocating. This isn't just about playing a role. This is about replacing someone. You are not the first, and if you don't play along, you won't be the last. Nathan watches you for a long moment, his hand still on your shoulder, his grip just tight enough to remind you that he is stronger, that he is in control. Then slowly, he releases you, stepping back as if giving you space, but you know better. Space is an illusion. Freedom is an illusion. He gestures toward the room with an almost fatherly smile. This is your room now. You stare at him, your breath uneven, your body tense with the urge to run, even though you know there is nowhere to go. Get some rest, Nathan says, stepping back into the hallway. Tomorrow is a big day. And with that, he pulls the door shut, the soft click of the lock sliding into place, echoing through the silence. You are alone, but you have never felt less alone in your life. The room is suffocating in its silence. You stand in the middle of it, your hands clenched at your sides, staring at the locked door as if you can will it to open, as if Nathan will change his mind and let you go. But the reality of your situation settles in deeper with every second that passes. You are trapped. There is no way out. And this carefully arranged space, this prison disguised as a bedroom, is meant to be yours. Your gaze drifts back to the photograph above the bed, to the stranger in the frame whose smile doesn't quite reach his eyes. Daniel, you don't know how long he was here, how long he played his part before he stopped following the rules. But you know how his story ended. Gone. The word echoes in your head, filling the space between your breaths. You move toward the dresser, fingers trembling as you pull open the first drawer. Inside, everything is neatly folded. Socks, undershirts, clothing that looks exactly like what Nathan wears. The second drawer is the same. The third. All of it meticulously prepared, as if your arrival had been expected long before you ever stepped into that gas station. Your pulse pounds in your ears as you cross the room to the closet, your stomach twisting as you push the door open the rest of the way. The identical shirts and pants hang in perfect rows, pressed and clean, waiting for you. The scent of detergent clings to them, sharp and artificial, but beneath it, something lingers, something faintly human, skin, sweat, time. These are not new clothes. They belong to someone before you. You step back, your breath coming quicker now, the walls of the room seeming closer than they were a moment ago. You don't know what's worse, the fact that Nathan expects you to wear them, or the fact that someone else once did, someone who isn't here anymore. Your gaze flickers toward the window, the single piece of glass that separates you from whatever world still exists beyond this place. You move toward it without thinking, pressing your hands against the frame, trying to slide it open. It doesn't budge. You try again, pushing harder, but it's sealed shut. The lock rusted, the edges painted over as if someone had long ago decided that whoever stayed in this room should never look outside. A sound echoes through the house, a creak of floorboards, slow and deliberate. Your entire body stiffens, your heart slamming against your ribs as you turn toward the door, listening. Footsteps, not hurried, not panicked, just the steady pace of someone moving through the hallway. Then they stop, right outside your door. You don't breathe. For a long moment there is nothing. No movement, no sound. Just the weight of something, someone standing on the other side. Then a whisper. Elliott. The voice is soft, fragile, barely audible through the wood, but it is not Nathan's. It is a woman's. Your wife. You hesitate for only a second before stepping forward, pressing your palm against the door, your mouth dry. You don't know what you're supposed to say. You don't even know if you're allowed to answer. But then she speaks again. Don't fight it. The words send a chill down your spine, not because they are cruel or threatening, but because of how utterly resigned they sound. There is no urgency in her tone, no defiance, only a quiet, exhausted acceptance. Your throat tightens. What is this place? You whisper, your voice barely more than a breath. She hesitates. Then so softly you almost don't hear it. A home. A shiver rolls through you, a deep instinctual dread that coils in your gut like something alive. This is not a home. This is a prison built to look like one, a nightmare stitched together from the bones of something familiar. And she, whoever she was before she ended up here, has given up fighting. You press your forehead against the door, closing your eyes. How long? You ask, not sure if you even want the answer. The silence stretches, so long you think she won't respond. But then, quietly, I don't remember. Something inside you cracks. You want to ask more, but before you can, the footsteps return, slow, deliberate, approaching from farther down the hall. The woman's breath hitches, barely audible, and then she is gone, her presence vanishing as quickly as it came. A moment later, there is a sharp knock on the door. Nathan. Good night, Elliott, he says through the wood, his voice warm, even, the way a father might tuck his child into bed. The lock clicks into place again, even though you already knew the door was locked. A reminder, a warning. You don't sleep that night. Morning arrives slowly, dragging itself across the horizon like something wounded, something reluctant. You don't remember falling asleep, but at some point, exhaustion must have overtaken the fear, because when your eyes open, the first thing you see is the ceiling above you, the light filtering in through the window, casting long, thin shadows across the walls. The weight of the night still clings to you, thick and suffocating, pressing into your ribs like a hand refusing to let go. For a moment, you lie still, your mind caught between reality and the terrible, lingering hope that maybe this has all been some fever dream, some cruel, elaborate nightmare. But then you hear it, the clatter of dishes from somewhere beyond your door, the low murmur of voices, the rhythmic ticking of the clock in the hallway. The house is awake, the family's awake, and you are still here. You push yourself upright, your muscles stiff, your wrists aching from where the ropes had bound you at dinner. The clothes they left for you sit folded neatly on the dresser, waiting. Nathan expects you to wear them, to step into the role he has carved out for you, just as the others must have before. The thought makes your stomach churn, nausea curling up the back of your throat, but there is no time to sit with it. The door creaks slightly when you push it open, the hallway stretching before you in a quiet, empty stillness. For a brief, fleeting moment, you consider running. But to where? You have no idea where this house even is. You don't know how far the nearest road is, how deep into whatever stretch of Nebraska Nathan has buried this twisted little world of his. You don't know if the front door is locked or if there are more locks beyond it, more barriers keeping you inside. You don't know if running would make things worse, so you don't. Instead, you follow the sound of movement, your footsteps light against the hardwood, your body tense, ready, though for what, you aren't sure. The kitchen is bright with morning light, the smell of eggs and bacon thick in the air, warm and domestic, an obscene contrast to the truth of this place. The woman stands at the stove, her back to you, moving with quiet precision as she scrapes scrambled eggs onto plates. The little girl sits at the table, her small hands folded in her lap, her eyes darting toward you when you enter, but quickly dropping again. And Nathan is already there, seated at the head of the table, a mug of coffee in his hand, his posture relaxed, his expression one of quiet satisfaction. Good morning, he says, his voice smooth, easy, as if this is any other morning, as if this is normal. You hesitate in the doorway, something deep in your gut screaming at you not to sit, not to play this game. But what choice do you have? You glance at the woman, your supposed wife, and though she doesn't meet your gaze, the tension in her shoulders speaks volumes. She is afraid. She has always been afraid. You sit. Nathan watches you, his pale eyes flicking over you with something almost like approval. "It's good to see you settling in," he says, taking a slow sip of his coffee before setting the mug down. "Change is always difficult at first, but routine helps." You grip the edge of the table to keep your hands steady, forcing yourself to meet his gaze. "How many on you ask?" Your voice quiet but firm. Nathan raises an eyebrow. "How many what?" You don't look away. "How many husbands?" The room stills. The woman stops moving, the scrape of the spatula against the pan cutting off abruptly. The little girl stiffens in her chair, her fingers curling into her lap. Nathan sighs, shaking his head slightly as if disappointed. "Elliott," he says, his tone gentle, patient, as though speaking to a child who just won't learn. "We don't ask questions." Your jaw tightens, your nails pressing into the wood beneath your fingers, your pulse thudding against the inside of your skull. "Daniel," you say, pushing the name past your lips like a challenge, like an accusation. "What happened to him?" Nathan exhales slowly, setting his coffee aside before leaning forward, his elbows resting on the table. He studies you for a long moment, his gaze unreadable, his silence heavier than words. Then, without looking away, he speaks. "Lily," he says. The little girl flinches. Nathan's smile doesn't waver. "Tell your father what happens when someone breaks the rules." Your stomach twists. You turn to the girl, your heart pounding, a terrible sinking dread settling into your chest as she lifts her chin, just enough for you to see the fear in her eyes, the way her lower lip trembles. "They go away," she whispers. The words feel like a punch, knocking the breath from your lungs. Nathan sits back, satisfied. "There, you see," he says lightly. "Families only work when everyone does their part." He gestures toward the plate in front of you, the eggs and bacon steaming, the silverware gleaming in the morning light. "Eat, Elliott," a command, not a request. Your hands shake as you reach for the fork, as you force yourself to take a bite, the taste like nothing in your mouth, your entire body cold with understanding. There is no escape. There never was. Nathan leans forward again, lowering his voice so only you can hear. "You'll make a wonderful husband." You swallow the food, your throat tight, your body screaming to move, to run, to fight. But you don't. You can't. Because now you understand. You understand why the woman doesn't fight, why she doesn't look at you. You understand why the little girl speaks in whispers. You understand that if you push too hard, if you refuse too much, if you break the rules, you won't just be gone. You'll be replaced. Just like Daniel. Just like the ones before him. Just like the ones after you. Nathan smiles, content. The clock on the wall ticks on, and breakfast continues.